Let's learn about this awesome pictorial hutch that previously had no story on the internet on this episode of Antique Bottle Stories. So I've seen his name as Antony, or Anton Jukemic. He was born in 1867 in Wisconsin. His parents were born in Prussia. His dad came over in 1845 and was a Union soldier in the Civil War. I'm not sure when his mom comes over, but they both die in Portland, Oregon. So let's start in the 1880 census. We see Antony with his mom and dad and his 8 siblings. The oldest sibling is 20 and the youngest is just a couple months old. Antony is right smack in the middle at age 12. Their dad died later that year at age 52, leaving their 49-year-old mom to raise 8 kids by herself. Luckily, there are some older ones to help with the younger ones. 4 years later, Antony is 16 now, and he's working at Pioneer Soda Works. So here's his foot in the door in the bottling industry. The following year, in 1885, his older brother Peter is also working there with him. His older brother John is working as a laborer somewhere, and they're all still living in the house with their mom, Mary. By 1890, Antony is now 23 and he marries a girl named Minnie. In 1891 City Directory, most of the family is working, even the girls. His sister is named Wilhelmina, and that's Minnie for short, and his wife is also named Minnie. So one of them is listed here with his sister Mary, and they're milliners for a Rudolph Becker. The definition of a milliner is a person who designs, makes, trims, or sells women's hats. And 3 of the brothers are now working at the Pioneer Soda plant. 1896 and 1897 directory shows him and Peter working at a Gundel Brothers and Company, which is another soda bottling plant. The 1900 census shows Antony, Minnie, and their 9-year-old daughter Violet. He's still working at Gundel Brothers. By 1904, we see him with his own business called Jukemic and Yank. His brother Peter is still working with him. By 1905, he's changed partners. He dropped Yank and picked up a Van Dorn and Kramer, and we finally see the name Western Soda Works. I tried finding this address, but either the numbering is different or the buildings are just not standing anymore. By 1910, Van Dorn has dropped off, and now it's just Jukemic and Kramer. We don't see another entry until 6 years later, 1916. It's still called Western Soda Works. Also in 1916, a newspaper has scores from some local bowling leagues, and Western Soda Works had a league. It mentions that Western Soda Works has won 2 games. Out of how many, though? I don't know. A June 1917 newspaper article says, Bernie Heckman, driver for the Western Soda Works, was seriously, perhaps fatally injured when the truck he was driving went over the bank after the steering gear had broken. He was on his way back from making deliveries. The truck threw him out, he fell about 10 feet and sustained severe internal injuries. So since the paper wasn't sure if he was going to survive, I had to go find out. Unfortunately, he didn't pull through. He was about 33. He left a wife and 2 kids, aged 7 and 9. And in a crazy turn of events, I'm finding this out right along with you. His wife was actually Violet, Antony's daughter. Bernie was Antony's son-in-law. Violet was widowed at age 26, and yes, she remarried. But if I hadn't gone to see if he had died, I would have never known that. I don't see any more entries for Western Soda Works after the year 1926. His obituary said that he retired, but he didn't. He continues working as a bottler. I guess he just didn't want his own place anymore. Antony's wife Minnie died around 1930. She was in the 1929 directory, but Antony says that he's widowed in the 1930 census. And here he's also living with his sister-in-law, who's also widowed, and he's still working. The 1940 census, he's 72 now, and he's living alone, and he's still bottling. He's in the directory almost every single year, and then it just stops around 1930. There's no more records for him on Ancestry until he died in 1952 at age 84. When he died, he had 4 grandchildren and 9 great-grandchildren. How experienced he was in the bottling industry. He had been working in the bottling field for a good 60-ish years. I wish sometimes I could go back in time and ask some of these guys some questions. His obituary said that he worked for Pioneer Soda Works for 20 years before he ran Western Soda Works for another 20 years, which works with the information that I found. I have that Western Soda Works was in business roughly between 1905 and 1926. Now, my bottle is a Hutchinson, or a Hutch bottle, and those stopped being made by 1912. So this bottle could have only been produced between the years 1905 to 1912. So we're talking 7-ish years. So this should be a fairly rare bottle, I would think. And this sucker is darn near perfect. This bottle has a lot of things going for it. It has this beautiful, bright aqua color. It has the stopper intact. And in case you've never seen one of these in action, you would pull up on this metal loop and it would stay in place from the carbonation. To reopen it, you would just push it down. The loop is designed in such a way that it doesn't fall down into the bottle. Oh, and it does have some really great bubbles in it. Last but not least, it has this amazing elk embossed on it. Isn't it so beautiful? I bought this bottle because I was actually searching for Portland, Oregon bottles since I have family in that neck of the woods, and they've been there for several generations, even as far back as this bottle. Heck, it's a long shot, but maybe one of them drank out of this bottle. Well, that's it for me today, guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.